Janine, welcome to the Career Confidence Podcast.
If you change how you think to a SOAR mentality, which is solutions, ownership, accountability, and responsibility, if you take ownership for everything you do in your life and it's your fault, your success or your values in your life are your fault, immediately you can do something about it. The second that it's not your fault, like, oh, gee, the interest rate rises, that's why my business is struggling, you actually release the power to someone else and you can't fix it.
What advice would you have for women listening to this right now that want to have a career, want to have a business, want to have it all, but also want to be a great mum?
Guilt doesn't serve you. You can get guilty if you want, but it doesn't serve you. Instead, find solutions. Now, I certainly wasn't the perfect mother, far from it, but I was a happier woman because I was working. And happier woman makes me a better mum and a better wife and a better everything. And I don't get it all right, far from it. But I do fundamentally think you're not the sum of one thing you do, you're the sum of all the things you do.
Janine, welcome to the Career Confidence Podcast. I'm absolutely honoured to have you on today. I've spent a lot of time with you this weekend. I have been reading your book. I have been listening to your podcasts, and I am even more inspired by your journey and what you've achieved. So I'm really excited to get into this conversation today. But can you take us back to the beginning? Because people often see the tip of the iceberg when they see someone like yourself. Incredible businesswoman, very successful. But can you take us back to the early days of building Boost? What that was like, having young children running around your feet. Talk to us about where the journey began.
Look, I think so I suppose, how far do you want to go back? Well, it's 1965. I think, it was, I was on maternity leave for a business called United International Pictures where I was a publicist. And I sort of made that call that I didn't want to work for anyone anymore. And my husband was working at Austereo and I was doing a little bit of publicity for him. And then when the crunch came as what do you do, go back or not, I decided to not. And we started to open up and do our own businesses. And look, we'd had a couple of failed attempts. One was touring comedians, which didn't work out very well. The other one was publishing, which didn't work out well. And it was really on a tour. So I was on a tour in America that I saw the category of juice and smoothies over there. And I didn't really love the brands over there, but with zero business experience and a hell of a lot of naivety, came back to Australia and started to formulate a business plan that eventually is what you go and get your smoothie at today, which is Boost Juice. But seriously, when you look at any brand out there, you forget that it starts with thin air, right? So even Apple, right? You just think Apple's always been. It's a bit like the earth, right? The earth is just always here, right? It didn't start with anything. It just always existed. And I think that you forget that, businesses start with often just a piece of paper. And people putting down an idea of normally, wouldn't it be good if I can get some more fruit and vegetables in people's diet? Wouldn't it be good if I went shopping that I can get a smoothie that I really like? And so it started as simple as that. And then when you go and stand and look at a juice bar, every single element had to be thought of, how the flow worked, how the recipes are, how the menu looks, what the till, what point of sale, I could go on for a million years. So for a young girl, 32 years old, who had 3 little kids at home, the youngest one was 7 months, it was just a bit of a blur. It was just a bit of oh, shit, it's got that wrong. How do I fix it? Okay, fix that one. Can't do that mistake again. So what system can I put in place so it doesn't happen again? And that was daily, hourly, by the minute that occurred.
What I think is really interesting about your journey, and I speak to a lot of women on this podcast and a lot of women in general, and there's this common mistake that's made that we think that we've got to go to university, business school, we've got to have everything figured out before we start something. And I honestly think that fear holds so many people back. And you just said at the start then you had a few failures, and that can just stop people in their tracks and say, I'm not good enough, it's not going to work for me. But you just managed just to go, no, I want to do this thing. And you just did it. And I think that's the thing when I was reading your book that most inspired me was just the courage to just begin. Were you always like that as a kid? Were you always quite courageous? I know you went traveling, which obviously takes courage, but that self-belief, was that installed in you as a child? And do you think that sort of had a bit of an impact in your level of success?
Look, when it's you don't know. You're just you, right? So for me, I had to be a really good problem solver, because to be a young traveller at 21 years old, travel around the world and back then there was no internet, no mobile phones, nothing. And a young, naive 21-year-old travelling, got herself into all sorts of trouble she had to get out of, and had to use all her wits and problem solving skills to get out of all those ridiculous situations I got myself into. So, problem solving was definitely one of them. And I think that was, I think fundamentally, I don't know if I was necessarily a positive. I was not a negative person. So I always went, something goes wrong, how do I fix it? Everything goes wrong in everyone's lives, right? There's always shit that happens. So people either do one, two things, they go, oh, poor me, it's not my fault, blah, blah. Or they go, oh, that's not fun. That's not too much fun. What do I do to fix it? And, to the extreme, you see people who, have absolute horrible things that happen in their lives, like the death of a child or death of a partner or a loved one, or a rape, we're talking extreme here. And they either come out warriors or they come out victims. And you don't actually know which way you're going to go. There's most of those amazing charities that have been doing incredible work come from a death, a cancer, a kidnapping. Like, it's all of these things have come from adversity to the extreme. So not that I'm saying I'm that warrior, but I do go, instead of going, this was bad, I go, how do I fix it?
I love that. It's that whole glass full as opposed to glass empty mentality, isn't it? And I think that you also said something in your book that I was like, God, this is so true. You said there's two types of people in life. You've got your verbs and your saws. And the verb is like those that play the victim, the blame game, and then the saws that are really solution, problem solving, take responsibility. And I think when I've ever interviewed, I'm always fascinated by people generally, maybe that's why I'm in recruitment, but I'm always fascinated in, why are some people like yourself gone on to build a huge multi-billion-dollar business and other people struggle throughout their whole life? Like, do you think that it is just that problem-solving ability, or you've met a lot of entrepreneurs as well through your Shark Tank journey? What is it? If you could try pinpoint something, is there a characteristic that you see that you go, that's it?
I think it's what you said. It's people either are a verb or they choose to soar, and its verb is victim, entitled, rescue, or blame, right? And in fairness, we can all be verbs, right? We can all wallow in our own pity, and I have definitely put my hand up. I've been a verb, but if you can, and just because you're that mentality doesn't mean you have to be that mentality forever. You can change. Your brain can change. You can read inspiring books. You can listen to inspiring podcasts. You can help change how you think. And if you change how you think to a SOAR mentality, which is solutions, ownership, accountability, and responsibility, if you change it to that, like, every problem is your fault. I take ownership of it, SOO for ownership, right? If you take ownership for everything you do in your life and it's your fault, everything, your success or your failures in your life are your fault, immediately you can do something about it. The second that it's not your fault, like, oh, gee, the interest rate rises, that's why my business is struggling, or gee, my partner is just a certain type of person, I'm stuck with it. Like, as soon as it's not your fault, you actually release the power to someone else and you can't fix it. So the power of ownership, or the power of SOAR, solutions, ownership, accountability, and responsibility, changes your life. And I know it's sort of like, I'm not normally a woo-hoo, hey, change your life type stuff, but if you take nothing else but start to consider every time you go, oh my God, I'm sounding like a verb, I'm going to stop and have another direction. If you keep doing that, eventually your life is just solution-based, or ownership, or accountability and responsibility. I truly believe that.
As do I. We are absolutely singing from the same hymn sheet, but it's really easy, isn't it, to get yourself in that spiral. And I reflect on my life in my mid-20s where I was extremely anxious and I was always trying to like the next thing, the next thing, the next thing, and that caused me to just, I don't know, I was in a really sort of bad way for a few years there. And I think that the first thing I did was become aware of my thoughts. And what I realized is that a lot of them were quite negative and repetitive. And I was never grateful. I was always on to the next thing. And this is something that I speak to a lot of like entrepreneurs and maybe sort of A-type personalities, is that balance between being grateful for where you are and really sort of like, focusing on what you have versus striving and being hungry for what's next. And I always think, like, when I look at someone like yourself who's achieved so much, how have you sort of found that balance of like being really present in the moment and looking around and going, right, wow, look at everything I've achieved, but also always having this hunger and this drive and this determination to go forward and think, what is next? Have you ever struggled with that? And could you share if you have?
And look, you can do all that in one day. Like it's okay. Like you don't have to be in you don't have to be in that beautiful, meditative, happy place to enjoy the leaf of a tree. In the same day, you could have a powerhouse meeting that really achieves something. You don't have to. It's not and or. And you're right. I've wallowed in stuff. I've had negative thought. I'm sort of not some person that's evolved into this mega person who gets it all right. God, far from it. But what I do is I have triggers in my life to help me achieve the balance. Like, so in the morning, I'll always be in nature. For me, it's my body getting in the ocean, and hopefully getting a surf and hopefully getting a wave. Or if I'm not getting in the ocean, I'm taking a walk in nature, and normally with my shoes off, to try and get that grounding feeling, right? So, and, there's many great executives that start their day with a meditation or a yoga. I mean, I love my yoga, and yoga is an incredible place for me. That doesn't mean that I then don't start my day and I then get into the head. It's all in the head, right? It's all how am I solving it? How do I do it? So in actual fact, the best outcome is having a bit of everything in the day. But I think to your point, gratitude is an incredible humbler. Because instead of wanting more, that's okay, want more. But I think the gratitude of what you've got is really important. I know people that go, oh, that person's got more than me. That person's got that. That was, people are always in that comparing, particularly in this world of social media. But instead you go, oh my God, I'm so grateful that all my kids are healthy. I'm really grateful that they're they still talk to me and they like me. I'm really grateful for a long, long list of things that I'm grateful for. And that doesn't mean I want to strive for more. It doesn't mean I don't want to improve and be a better person. But I'm certainly grateful for the moment I am now.
100%. It's so powerful, isn't it? And I think, gratitude is definitely something that I've implemented in my life. Having that practice every single day pulls me back into the moment. It's like, right, life is good and I can be grateful for what I have whilst I work towards goals and things I want to achieve. But one thing I found really inspiring when I was reading your book, and you talk a lot about family, and it's something that if my business partner was here, she would be asking you a million questions around. Obviously, she's got the business, the recruitment, and she's got 2 young girls. And one thing that and I know she won't mind me saying this because she speaks about this on the podcast a lot, but she's really struggled with that whole mum guilt piece about, it's like she's trying to strike this perfect work-life balance to be a perfect mum, a business owner. And she always ends up sort of saying to me, I feel like I'm never getting it right. And I was reading your book and I was like, God, like, in the early days, building Boost, like having your 3 children around, and what would you say, what advice would you have for women listening to this right now that, want to have a career, want to have a business, want to have it all, but also want to be a great mum? Like, is there such thing as a balance in your opinion?
Look, if you run a business, there's no life balance, there's just life, right? So I think that you just kind of have to go, instead of trying to strive for this, all right, I need a balance, right? I think I just sort of went, okay, everything just squeezes in. Guilt doesn't serve you, so you can get guilty if you want, but it doesn't serve you. Instead, find solutions. Like, as you've read my book, I certainly wasn't the perfect mother, far from it, but I was a happier woman because I was working, and I was then a happier woman makes me a better mum and a better wife and a better everything. So, and I don't get it all right, far from it, right? But I do fundamentally think you're not the sum of one thing you do, you're the sum of all the things you do. And in those all your things, I'm sure there's going to be 25 or even more of things that I've got wrong. And I'm sure my children will sit down with a long list of things and go, these are the things that you should have done better, as children have a right to do, because I'm sure I didn't to my mum. But at the end of the day, I know that no matter what happened, my children feel loved, and they are loved. And I do really believe that I think we actually, as parents, we think that we have this great, incredible superpower that actually dictates a children's life's journey. I can tell you now, having 3 grown sons and a growing daughter, I truly now believe that our only role in life for children is to love them, to give them security, to teach them manners, integrity, and for them to know we're always there for you and keep them alive. That's an important one too. The rest of it, right, I've always thought that I had this say in what my children are, but mate, I've got freaking hippies, I've got surfer dudes who's massive into the environment. I have a capitalist who is just making money and that's all he cares about, and a daughter that's still working her way through life. I mean, I had nothing to do with them. I'm just keeping them alive and feeding them.
Amazing. Yeah, it did make me laugh when you were saying about you dropped your kid off and they were in the wrong uniform and you just sort of never got it perfect. And I thought that's just so raw and real. And I think that so many women need to hear that because like mum guilt from all the circles that I'm sort of speaking in right now, it's a real thing. And I think society puts a lot of pressure into women and what a good mother looks like. And there's just no one rule that fits all. And everyone sort of, I guess, as my business partner would say, completely winging it. And, like you said, if as long as they feel love, that's the most important thing. I truly believe as well. And I know that's what my mum gave me, and I'm very grateful for that. But another sort of point I really sort of enjoyed when I was reading, and just what really fascinates me is you've got like this huge company now, lots of employees, and how important is it when you're sort of building a business to get the right people around you? You mentioned like in the early days of building Boost, how your team was everything. And I just don't think people quite understand, especially founders who want to keep all the control themselves and, are quite sort of like, a bit of control freaks. But getting the right people in those early days, how important was that to the success of Boost?
Well, it's everything, right? You can't do it yourself. And if you really want to continue to do yourself out of a job, it's really important that I always find there sort of seems to be 4. If you get 4 key people with all different skills, then I think that you can achieve the unachievable. But I think that if people then put up with average and put up with, people that aren't as good as they could be, then that's where the business goes nowhere. There's a reason why 4 or 5 businesses fail in the first 5 years. It's not by accident. And mostly it's in our control. Some of it's not, but mostly it is. And when you look back in hindsight, you go, gee, it was that person, or I didn't fire quick enough, I didn't hire slow enough. It's all these things that people need to do and consider that actually makes a business succeed or fail.
Mm-hmm. So when you're hiring for your team, what are some of the things that you personally look for?
Oh, look, I go back to verb and saw. If I'm speaking to someone and interviewing them, I'll say things like, can you give me a time when blah? And I'll always have them open questions like yes or no. And if they come down and go, oh, look, it was, my boss did this and, that happened, but that was the other person's fault. And if they start going down and I hear verb, I go, run away. Instead, if I hear people real and raw and honest and going, look, really, we did that campaign that completely failed, but what we learned from that was XXX, and then we implemented in the next one and da-da-da-da-da. So I don't believe that everyone's career and business life is this beautiful line that does this and it's all perfect. And so what I like to hear in the interview is what they got wrong. and what they did about it, because it's okay to get stuff wrong. That's okay. But what do you do about it? Do you wallow? Do you blame someone else, or do you find solutions?
I love that. There's always sort of talk right now, is of like social media of quiet quitting and bare minimum Monday. And I just literally just put my head in my hands and just go, oh my God, this is the worst advice for career I've ever seen. Because guess what? When the economy turns, and it has, you're going to be the first one to be let go. So when you, again, sort of coming back to like, your team, that work ethic, like, how important is it? And like advice to people who are in careers right now, maybe for like the younger generation as well coming up, like how important is it in the early days to just show up, do your best, and always just come to work with that can-do attitude?
Oh, look, it's everything, But at the end of the day, you've got 100 the population is out there, right? And most people really do want to do a good job, right? They really do. But, then suddenly, you haven't got I'm in the office being inspired every day. So it can get hard. And, people do work from home, which is great. I think it's a great thing. I think personally, I'm so much more productive on Mondays and Fridays if I'm just literally focusing on setting up the week and sitting down and winding down the week. Things haven't got to and finish up on Friday, right? So it's a really good structure if you can do it. But if you are taking the piss, then it will kind of catch up with you. But it's the ones that really want that career progression. Those people that really want the best they can be. They'll be the ones, you can see it, you can smell it. But equally, it's okay if you're not doing the hours between 9 and 5. If you're working from home and the hours suit you from 11 till 7, knock yourself out. People are looking for productivity. They're not looking for you to get there at 9 o'clock and finish at 5. They're looking for you to do your job really effectively and be productive. And so I think what this whole work from home does, it allows people to naturally work in the hours that suit them best. Because some people are morning people. Some people go, oh my God, I want to get up at 5 and just kill it. And some people go, I am best at 11 p.m. at night, right? That's just my time. And so I think where this leads is it does lead to, that time of really just working the best for both teams. It's a win-win for both. So it's just that balance, and it's moving quick. We have to adjust as business owners. You have to adjust as employees, and it's that trust. We've got to build that trust, which is really important. So there's a lot to unpack because it's happened quick. COVID has fast forward this thing that would have probably taken 10, 15 years. And it's really fast forwarded into 3, right? And everyone's just catching up.
I completely agree. And one of the conversations that I'm having a lot of the minute with sort of people in culture is that how can we maintain our culture in this new hybrid way of working, right? And some businesses have implemented like these are the days back in office, and some companies like I'm highly recommending them not do it, but saying mandatory 4 days or 5 days back in office. How have you gone about, and just your businesses in general, maintaining that culture in this new hybrid way of working? Because it's not the same like doing Zoom calls as being in the office and having the water cooler chats and things. So what's been your experience transitioning to more of a hybrid way of working?
Look, it really works really effectively for some people and not for others, and sometimes there's industries that don't get that flexibility. Our juice bar stores, you can't work from home if you're in juice bar. So there's sort of that level of sometimes it's unfair, but it's just kind of how it is. Unfortunately, some jobs can be done at home, some jobs can't. I think that collaboration is really important, face-to-face collaboration. You will lose that, hey, I'm just popped into your office, I've got a question, can I brainstorm something really quickly? So it has to be more structured now than it was before. I think if everyone, which it seems like everyone is, I don't know about you, but on Friday I don't get any emails from anyone. So I think that I think if everyone's sort of doing a wind down on Friday, but it's a genuine night wind down, not a long weekend, I think that can be really effective. And you're right. You feel that Tuesday to Thursday, everyone wants to get stuff done on Tuesday to Thursday. So Look, it can work, but I think it depends on the team structure, it depends on the leader, it depends on the team themselves. We're all human, so we all have our different ways of working, ways of thinking. So I don't actually think there's a right way. I think it really depends on the teams themselves and more importantly, the leaders and how they want to lead. But for those introvert leaders who just want to go, okay, I can just do my work and not get the team together, which there's a lot out there. Yeah, they really need a structure around them to kind of force them to do the culture stuff. Look, it's hard. It's hard. But, the advantages is that, we have productivity-wise, you've got people in Sydney who have to travel, in Melbourne mainly, who have to travel an hour and a half to work every day. They've immediately got, 5-10 hours back in their day, and they can actually be a lot more effective in their day, and they're happier. So, there's some serious positives and serious negatives to the new way of working.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I absolutely love working. I love my days from home, but I also I'm quite a social person. So I love going in, having a chat, and I get a lot from that as well. But that balance, because I think the one thing I worry about is that we are social creatures, and especially for those that I think we have got a bit of a loneliness epidemic. And I think people's mental health can really struggle if they're just literally just working from home on their own. They don't have a partner, they don't have children. That's sort of what I worry for. And then on the other side as well is that when I reflect on my own career, I learned a lot from people, from being around people and learning from people who are more experienced than myself. So that also sort of plays on my mind. I think the younger generation coming up would really benefit from being in the office and around more senior people. Thoughts on that as well, I guess.
I think particularly, you're right, particularly for the introverts.
Yes.
Introverts at an office that kind of forced to, hey, we've got a team lunch, come. And you go, oh, okay, I don't really want to come, but I'll have fun. And they're the ones that can tend to be lonely, because they don't want to, they don't want to put themselves out. The extroverts are fine. They'll organise lunches. They'll organise, get together. They're the ones that will make it happen. They'll succeed in any capacity. But there is a large proportion, you're right, of people who will struggle to be inspired. They'll struggle to learn, to struggle to be seen too. I think that's the other big thing. You've got some great employees who are introverts, but you don't even know how good they are because you don't hear from them. But in an office scenario where you're getting feedback all the time, they disappear less. So there is people out there that just tend to vanish. And that's what you've got to be careful with as a leader, is to ensure that you're always bringing your teams together and you're finding ways to not let people disappear.
So true. Such valuable advice. And what's really interesting, just touching upon leadership as well as on this topic, because you wrote in your book about respect. And as a leader, that's the big thing that you should strive for. But I have a lot of conversation with people who have they've been promoted into a leadership role because they're really good at their job, but they actually haven't really got any experience managing teams. They don't know how to interview. They don't know how to motivate, and they are really, really struggling to. All of a sudden, they're in charge of 10 people, and they've got to motivate them, and it's a whole new way of working to navigate. So, if you have some advice from, let's just say Tracy, she's been promoted, she's great at her job, and all of a sudden she's got 10 people to manage. Maybe she's younger than some of them as well. What advice would you have for her? Like, how can we gain respect as a leader in your sort of thoughts?
I think I've got two bits of advice. The first advice is the person who puts Tracy in that role, don't set her up to fail. I think that's the key thing is, and I've done that. I've got, oh my God, they're great. I'm running a million miles an hour, put you in a role. And the thing is though, if you give someone that sort of role and that opportunity, quite often they're unwilling to put their head up and go, I'm struggling, because they don't want to disappoint you. They feel like and so consequently they do disappoint you because they can't do the job. And that's as much my fault as it is them. So I think the people who put the Tracy in the role needs to make sure that there's a program set so you can check in. Where are your skill gaps? Where are your skill gaps? Where are you struggling? How's the team reacting to you? How's the team how are you getting involved with the team? So I think the first and foremost is the leaders have to not just set people up to fail. We don't mean to, but sometimes we do. Now, on Tracy's thing, I think Tracy needs to be okay to put her hand up and say, I'm actually struggling. And again, don't approach it as a verb, right? Victim, rescue, entitled, blame. Approach it as a saw, right? So Tracy comes up and goes, hey, look, I've been putting this role. There's 10 people in here. I'd like to, is there a type of course I can do to help me to get better with regard to dealing with people, right? Or is there a type of system that's in place that I can do some sort of KPIs so I can really manage them, right? Or so what she's doing is she's taking ownership from it. Okay, I've been given the job. I'm really excited, but I'm trying to find a solution to the problems I've got. And then, and so in that way, then at least the ownership or the leader, her leader, can actually go, okay, great, you've thought about this. And even to the next level, I'd say to Tracy, find courses you think that could help. Is there a mentor in your business, current business, that could actually put you under the wing and really guide you? So try and find that person. So I think it's just on that basis of not I need to be rescued, help me, right? Try and look for ways of, okay, I see what my problems are. I see that maybe they don't respect me. I see that I see that. How do I fix that? How do I get that fixed? And then try and find the solution. Because what you do is if you go to your boss with solutions, the solution might be the worst solution ever, but at least it opens up the dialogue to go, right, Tracy, yep, I can see where you're coming from. That's not a bad idea. However, what I've found is we can send you on this course, or we'll structure it differently, or we'll together we will find a solution that works effectively for you. So it opens up the conversation.
Fantastic advice for Tracy or whoever's listening to this that is taking a leadership role on. But yeah, you're absolutely right, Janine. I just think that, it is about putting your hand up and asking for help. And I think especially, I'm going to say for women especially, I think we struggle to ask for help, and we need to, because there are people out there that want to help us and are willing to help us. And even looking back at your journey at the beginning, like just asking people to have coffees with you, and how amazing they were to say, yeah, sure, let's meet up. And how important as well throughout your whole journey has having a mentor been in your own life, and just reaching out and asking the question, hey, can you help? Can you mentor me? What's that been like, that journey for you, like having the right people in your corner as well?
Oh, look, I think it's really important. I think that quite often when you have those coffees, it does take you into a direction. Either you go, oh, okay, I take massive notes, and then I go, okay, I'm going to make that change, because why would I have to make the same mistakes as them? Why can't I learn from them, the people ahead of me? And I think that what's the point in having a coffee and getting all this information if you're going to do nothing? You're not going to do anything with it.
100%. 100%. And you said as well, that's the best compliment you can give a mentor, is actually they say to do something, you do it. That's the biggest thing. You don't just want to go, yeah, that was fantastic, and off you go, and don't learn anything from that conversation. But the other thing that I find so inspiring about you, and you're just such a, through the boost, you just sort of align yourself so well with the brand, but you've always put health. You've always been very healthy. Like, look at you now, you get in the ocean every day, you do your yoga, you eat healthy, you do your juices and your smoothies. Like, how important, and I preach this myself, health is number one, is the foundation everything else is built on, I believe. But for those people that say, I don't have time for exercise, I don't have time for yoga, meditation, why should they prioritize their health? Why is it so important?
I probably have to disagree with you. I probably did not put my health forward first. Pretty much from 32 to 40, there was nothing. There was no priority of me anywhere. Right? It was all about growing a business, raising a family, and keeping sane. Right? Just so it was literally at 40. That I had an aha moment where I had to start prioritizing it. And I look back at the photos of me at 40, and I look probably 80. because I was, my skin was terrible. My eyes were black. I was overweight. I was, I was a mess. But really at 40, that's when I actually took up yoga. So I took up yoga at 40 and I get quite obsessed. So I ended up being a 6-day-a-week practitioner of an hour and a half a day. And then I started tennis. I took up surfing. I took up horse riding. I tried to really try and find that balance. Health retreats, I think, are really helpful. I'm a real fan of taking a break out of your normal routine and go and reflect. So that's really important to me. So I think now from 40, I've very much prioritized my health and my stuff. Hang on, my dog is doing something. What are you doing? I've got two.
Oh, they are gorgeous.
Brody. And this is Brody.
He is so gorgeous.
So they're at my feet because my daughter's playing table tennis downstairs. She's at school holidays, and they just, all I hear is the ping pong table, and they're just going, they just want to go and get the ball.
I should bring Ted, my cavoodle, in. He's normally sat right next to me, but I think he's just wandered off to get his food. Well, look, so okay. So since then, let me ask you another question. Since you started prioritizing your health, what benefits have you seen from doing that?
Oh, and you get all sorts of benefits. You get clarity of mind. You get happiness. You get everything. I mean, I stopped alcohol about a year ago.
Wow, okay.
And I mean, I say stopped alcohol. What I've decided was that I was going to, if I feel like having a drink, I will. But I think, so I didn't want to be this, I'm not doing it because, I want to have a glass of champagne with the girlfriends or a cocktail at a really good restaurant or something. So I probably have maybe a drink or two a month. And for me, that has been a game changer with clarity of thought, with health, with everything. So that's been a big one. And then exercise. I just have to do something every day. After this one, I've been working all day. I surfed this morning and, I'll now get on the yoga mat and finish my day with a session on yoga. And I'm not I look at some people out there who they run 50Ks. I'm not an extreme exerciser, but it's important for me to move every day.
Yeah, I completely agree. I'm very grateful that I grew up in a family that always did prioritize health. Like my dad would always go to the gym, mum would always be doing a fitness class. So for me, it's just second nature. I exercise, I move every day. Of course I do. But yeah, I think it's just so many people would just, when they get in these states of anxiety and depression, it's just like, if you just moved a little bit more, I bet you that you would
jump in the water. Correct,
100%. I mean, it just instantly just makes you feel great. Just to sort of like, I just think we're just a society that just sits so much, and it just worries me like what that's doing for like not just your physical but your mental well-being as well. Look, Janine, I could honestly have you on, like, honestly, I think all day talking about so many things, but I am conscious of your time. So the final sort of thing that I really wanted to touch upon is something that I have a lot of conversations with women about, and it is about confidence. It is about self-belief. And, it was even interesting when I opened your book, you talked about your nan, about, she was 92 and she couldn't believe that you ran your own business. She thought you were the coffee and the tea lady. And I think just as women in general, like there does seem to be a confidence gap. And I would love to see more women entrepreneurs. I'd love to see more women leaders, but sometimes we talk ourselves out of these things. We can be our own worst enemy. So how have you formed the person that you are today, become confident, built your self-belief, and what advice would you have for those that struggle?
Look, I think we've got to just be aware that it hasn't been that many generations before we weren't even allowed to freaking vote, or that, you couldn't get a loan or a credit card in your own name, right? So, I mean, my grandma wasn't allowed to work when she got married. That wasn't that long ago. But I think that what social media and I think what internet has done is that it's now normalizing it. It's really feeling like there isn't this female male thing now. It's just people. And I truly believe that my daughter, my 15-year-old daughter, won't even feel it. I really think that we're at that level where this next generation just goes, what are you talking about? There shouldn't be any difference. So I want a day where there's no business women's awards because it's just weird. Why would you celebrate women and not men? Because everyone seems normal. So I do think, though, that by seeing inspirational women doing stuff, it inspires people to do it. It suddenly goes, oh, okay, well, we can do it. I thought we can't, but if she can, well, why can't I? So I think that we're in a really exciting era for women. And I think, I really take my hats off for those women who have fought really hard in a time when they didn't have the opportunities that we did. And it's because of those women that we stand on their shoulders. And I'm really grateful for them, because I know myself, I don't feel like I can't achieve anything. And I look at my daughter and know that she can do anything. And I look at my sons and I see how they just see women. And it's just like, what do you mean? Of course, everyone's just the same. One person hasn't got a certain role, and anyone can achieve anything. I think it's a really exciting era for humanity.
I completely agree.
That's if we ever with the planet.
Well, that's
another concept.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Or AI doesn't, release a load of robots, and it's like Terminator. So fingers crossed. But look, what is next for you now? Obviously, you've achieved so much. You could just go and lie on a beach and do nothing. So, where does the discipline, where does the motivation come from? What is next for you? What are you working on right now?
Look, on my journey, I've been helped by so many people, and I've been inspired by so many things. And I think that I'm doing something called the Business Academy with a guy called Matt Purcell. And that's sort of an academy that we put together. It's taken a couple of years to put it together to sort of really go, here is information that I wish I knew, right? And there's so many courses out there that actually is run by people who've never done it. And it's just all academics that think that it's good theory. And I think if I have a superpower, which I don't have many, but I think my superpower is to make complicated things simple. And business actually isn't complicated, and we overcomplicate it. And I think that that's probably what my passion project is at the moment, is really trying to allow people to have the knowledge to be able to achieve what they want to achieve in business and in life, really.
Mm-hmm. And just one final piece. So what do you think, if out of your whole course, is it the problem solving ability that you need in business? Like if you could pinpoint one sort of thing that you think that would be it, is there something?
Look, I honestly think it goes back to the verb and saw. If people take nothing else out of it and not be a victim to their own life and actually choose to take control, I can help them. If they're not, wallowing in their own pity, which we all do, right, then you can achieve anything. And so I'm hoping that, with the course, it inspires people to for really live their fullest life they can in business and life. And, I'm 57 years old, and I now realize that I'm just starting to learn out who I am, and I think that it's interesting that every decade that goes by, you feel like you're getting closer, but equally, the more you know you don't know. So it's getting further away. So I think that it was better when I was 20 because I thought I knew everything.
That naivety that we've all got when we're 20. I know, it did make me laugh when I was reading your story about the travel, because I arrived in Australia when I was 23 with a rucksack and $100, and I didn't know what to expect. And I've lived here 12 years now, and I really do think this country is amazing. And it for the right people with the right attitude, with that soar attitude, I think the possibilities are endless. And I completely agree with you. I think that, business, career, life, it all does come down to the thoughts we think, the actions we take, and our beliefs, and how we take responsibility for every single thing in our life. I think that's such a powerful message to end with. So, Janine, where can I send people to find out more about you? I mean, if they don't know already, then they must live in a cave, but where can I put them?
The easiest place is you just Google, right? Google Janine Allis,
yeah.
Right? And then I think pretty much the janineallis.com.au pops up, which is my website. And then, you can follow the link to the Business Academy, or just get some information there, or, really whatever they want to do. They want to, as you said, my book is The Accidental Entrepreneur. We can get that. But if you don't want to pay for anything, there's podcasts for free. There's all sorts of stuff on the internet that you can hopefully inspires you.
It definitely has inspired me. So thank you so much. And what I think you've done is you've made the almost what doesn't feel achievable, because you're doing it and you're saying it's not hard, it's not complicated, it's anyone can do it, but these are the fundamentals that you need to get right. So thank you so much for Janine for coming on today, and I look forward to following your journey and what you do next. So thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. I've really enjoyed the chat. Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If you enjoy these episodes, the number one thing you can do to help us grow and keep spreading our mission and message is to hit the subscribe button. And if you have time, give us a quick rating. Appreciate each and every one of you who tune in every week, and we look forward to bringing you many more episodes this year. Take care.